Hey everybody, Dan here, and it's October 2nd, so it's time to get on to our next film in the Freddy and Jason saga, which is, for the sake of what I had looked up, A Nightmare on Elm Street, the original Freddy Krueger movie, um, which is actually pretty good. It's been a long time since I've seen it, but after watching it, I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's not my favorite in the series, but it is a really, really close second. Um, as originals tend to be the best, this one, not quite as much. Um, Now, one of the things that I'm going to be doing from here on out, because obviously I couldn't with the original Friday the 13th because Jason was not the killer in it, it was his mother. Look at yesterday's video for more information on that if you had no idea that that was the case for some reason. I'm going to keep a kill count of every, person that either character has killed. And then we'll just see which one comes out on top in the end after I've completed all of this stuff over the course of about 20 days or so. Um, and this kill count is going to only include kills that were on screen, so they're definitive, yes, this happened, this was a death on screen, or kills that were confirmed by people in the movie or the series. They said, yes, this happened. Okay? And we'll get to the reason why shortly on in this video here. Nightmare on Elm Street stars Robert Englund as Freddy Krueger, the Nightmare Killer. Originally, according to the canon of the story of the movie, he was a child murderer who had murdered 20 kids, and he went to court when they arrested him, ended up getting off scot-free because there was some sort of technicality with a warrant or something like that. I don't quite remember. And the people in the town got really aggravated by this because he had killed so many children. They ended up finding him in the place that he had killed these kids, some boiler room in some factory or warehouse somewhere, and setting fire to the warehouse and burning him alive. And he died, and apparently, swore that he would come back and get all of their children. Well, somehow this allows him the mystical ability to appear in people's dreams and chase them down and kill them in their dreams. And of course, if he kills you in your dream, if you die in your dream, you die in real life. That's actually what Wes Craven, the creator of the series, kind of based it off of, is that ridiculous and patently untrue, I know from experience, belief that if you die in your dream, you die in real life. It's not actually true, but it's an interesting little thing that people like to say, and therefore he made a movie with that idea in mind. Now, throughout this movie, he ends up stalking and murdering 4 people, 3 of which are actually children of the people who were involved in his death, and 1 is the mother of one of these children, so one of the people who actually was involved in his death. But the 4 kids that he's stalking throughout the movie and killing 3 of and attempting to kill 1 of, they are 2 couples, and they're all 4 of them are having just different odd dreams about some guy who's all burnt up, wearing a hat with knives on his fingers on like a glove, and green and red checkered shirt, which is one of the most ridiculous and disgusting looking things that I've ever seen personally. I don't know why it is that they chose a green and red striped sweatshirt for him, but whatever. I've never read anything that explains that either, so if anybody knows, feel free to comment below. Anyway, so he's stalking them in their dreams, and it gets to the point where one of the characters, whose name escapes me, I believe it was Tina, um, has what is undoubtedly one of the coolest death scenes in any 80s horror movie. She falls asleep, and in her dream, she gets attacked by Freddy, who uses his, knives on his glove and slashes right down her, body here. And as she's sleeping in a bed with her boyfriend Rod, her nightgown actually like comes open, and you can see just these claw marks suddenly appear. It's really good practical effects. That's one of the things that I love about the 80s movies. The 80s movies, man, they had such great special effects. It was all practical stuff because they couldn't do the CGI stuff that we have now. We didn't have the technology, we didn't have the capability of doing that sort of thing. And now I look and I see all of this CGI stuff, and it just looks watery, like shiny, like there's some sort of liquid dripping off of everything, and I don't like it. There's very, very, very little CGI work that I've actually seen that looked convincing, looked real, looked good. Most of it, no. And I mean, even the Lord of the Rings films, it just, sure, it looks neat, but it doesn't look good. It doesn't look real. It doesn't look like it's there. But in the 80s horror movies, man, that stuff was there, okay? Because it was practical effects. There was a real, torso that they had made that had, some sort of fake rubber flesh on it that looked realistic, and it got sliced open from the inside, and all this blood just started pouring out of it. It was amazing. And then in the dream, Freddy just starts, dragging her around the room. And I mean around the room. He's going, she flies up the wall. She ends up on the ceiling, trailing blood everywhere. Her boyfriend is freaking out in the background on the side, wondering what the heck is going on as she's just getting drug around the room. And this was literally just a room that they had built that was on some sort of, big turnstile thing that they could turn. And they strapped the guy who was playing Rod, the boyfriend, into like a corner of the room and just had the room literally spinning as she was, falling up the wall and all across the ceiling and everywhere. And they just had a stationary camera on kind of, the side of Rod as he's looking at all this going on, and it's stationary, he's strapped in, and she's just flipping around the room as the room itself is flipping, but it looks, because of the, stationary camera, as though she's just flying up the wall and across the ceiling. It's amazing. And just, like I said, one of the best death scenes in any 80s horror movie. It's fantastic. So then, of course, Rod gets blamed for her death, despite the fact that there are two other people who have witnessed this. He gets arrested by one of the character's fathers, who is the sheriff in town. The character Nancy, who is the survivor, the final girl, as it were, that most of these films have. And he gets in jail. Nancy starts finding all this stuff out about Freddy and everything, and, trying to figure out what's going on, and trying to, not get killed, and trying to not get everybody else killed. Ends up finding out that Freddy is, currently going after Rod in the prison, jail. So goes out and tries to stop that from happening. He gets a, like the sheet Freddy ties the sheet around his neck and then pulls it up and strangles him to death, so it looks like he committed suicide. So nobody really expects anything. And that was another interesting thing about this. In this particular, not in any of the other ones later on, but in this particular movie, at least the first two deaths were really made by Freddy to look like it was, a murder that another guy did, like, pinning it on him, and then a suicide. So it didn't even look at all like he was back, which was fantastic. So it goes on later on, and now we're down to two folks that he's, tracking down. Two kids who are, children of the people that murdered him, rather. And one of them, the next one that gets offed, is Glenn, who is played by a young Johnny Depp in his very first role, before he actually, made it big, before he beat his wife, all that stuff. And he actually just gets pulled down into his bed, and then blood just shoots everywhere, like far more than what a human body is actually capable of holding, just straight out of his bed. And again, this was the room that was tilted upside down with everything attached to the ceiling, and they just started pouring just buckets of blood out of this bed. It was fantastic. And then the police get there, and they have no idea how there could possibly be this much blood. It's great. So the police are trying to figure all that out, and of course Nancy calls up her father, telling him to, come to the house in 15 minutes or something like that, because she's going to try to capture Freddy, because she discovered at one point in a dream that she had grabbed Freddy's hat, and when she woke up in the hospital, she was still holding on to Freddy's hat in the real world. So she figures she can grab him and bring him into the real world and kill him here, or just have him arrested, or whatever the case may be. I believe her intention was to just have him arrested, which is pretty insane. I don't understand how, a dream demon, arrest this dream demon, Dad. Yeah, no, that's a dumb plan, but whatever. So she ends up, trying to bring him into the real world in her dream, and he ends up burning her mother alive, and she disappears down into her mattress. So she's the fourth victim. Nancy ends up surviving. Her father, comes to the rescue at the last moment, and everything is okay. And all of a sudden she wakes up, and and her friends are all alive. Everything is fine. Everything is perfect. Her mother is alive. Her mother decides she's going to stop drinking because she's a raging alcoholic, and she sets her off to school. She goes into Glenn's car, convertible, and as they're driving away, the convertible top comes over, and it's red and green striped like Freddy's sweater is. And her mom's just, waving by to everybody as Freddy's arm just rips through the window of the door and rips her through. It's pretty fantastic. So that's the end of it. So clearly her plan didn't work. She failed. She's still in a dream, and she's being taken off somewhere to possibly get killed. Of course, we find out a couple of segments later on that she did not get killed. Okay, so kill count. Officially, in this film, on camera, Freddy Krueger kills 4 people. However, it is mentioned by the mother that he killed at least 20 children before all of this happened, and that's where the confirmation thing comes into play that I mentioned earlier on in the video. So because of that confirmation, and because it was either the second film or the third film, it is officially confirmed that the kill count before the film was 20 children exactly. Freddy Krueger currently has a kill count of 4 to Jason's 0. However, this film will take place in between the original Friday the 13th and the Friday the 13th Part 2, where Jason comes into play. And during that time, Jason hasn't been as dead as they believed in the original film. So we'll pick up with that one tomorrow. But thanks a lot for watching, everybody. If you enjoyed the synopsis of the film, if you want to see more for some reason, you can go ahead and click subscribe, like the video, and you can also hit that notification bell and you'll get future notifications whenever I upload content, which for this month I am hoping will be one video every single day. From that point on, I may have to bring it down to one per week, one every other week, something like that, because it's really difficult for me to keep up with this, with everything that I've got going on out in my regular daily life with my work and, being a father and various things like that. But I will try as hard as I can to keep updated with things, and I will do brand new movies that are in the theater when I get a chance to see them. I will do just reviews on older classic movies that people may not all have seen. Just anything else that you think might be interesting, go ahead and drop a comment in there and let me know what you'd like to see. All right, thanks a lot.